CTBK is more than just a full-service accounting firm. They are one team with an innovative approach to accounting and rise to each new challenge with collaborative problem-solving skills. CTBK goes above and beyond by lending helping hands in the Buffalo and Niagara community through volunteer work and donations, and is partnered up with Victory Sports for 2020 and 2021 to keep kids in the community active. The professionals at CTBK are determined to help individuals and businesses succeed. Whether a large corporation, a small business, or somewhere in between, call CTBK at 716-630-2400. Again, 716-630-2400, and see what CTBK's one-team approach can do for you. Welcome to another edition of Tim Graham and Friends, brought to you by CTBK, CPAs and Business Consultants. I am Tim Graham of The Athletic, here with my usual co-host, Jonah Bronstein. Should note that our other co-host, Matthew Fairburn, since he announced it on Twitter, I feel comfortable in saying and giving out some personal news that Matthew had his first child recently, and he has been off the grid to be with his new son. And so we brought in out of the bullpen a new co-host. He's not used to coming out of the bullpen, although he did a little bit, but we have, in case you don't recognize him, or I guess if you're listening, you can't see him, that he's been sitting here with a big smile on his face. Yep. 1985 Cy Young Award winner, Dwight Gooden. Matthew is going to be impressed that we were able to bring somebody of your caliber in to help out. Dwight, thanks for doing this.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. I appreciate that. Please tell Matthew congratulations, and look forward to seeing him soon as well.
Well, Dwight, I was interested in getting your thoughts because there are so many things swirling around New York baseball, particularly with the pitchers. But as soon as I heard about spider tack and how much it improves RPMs, and you were known and still are known as one of the most wicked pitchers in baseball history, I guess I'll just start it this way. When did you first become aware of spider tack, and what do you think would have happened if it was around when you pitched?
I came aware of it this year when some of the talk started. Once you start hearing all the rumors, I guess there's a clubhouse assistant when I first heard about him talking about his days in Houston, talking about Verlander and Cole and those things. So you start hearing it, but you don't think nothing of it until it started spreading worldwide, and they're like, wow, spider tack. I never heard of it. And to be honest, quite frankly, I still don't know exactly what it is. It sounds like something else would be fun and definitely help with the grip and gripping the fastball, especially in my time. I was only a two-pitch pitcher, fastball, curveball. Obviously, I changed speeds with my curveball, and I was pretty blessed with, locating my fastball. So I'm curious about what it is and what I could have done with it. I don't think, me personally, it's hard to really say, but I don't think it's that big of a deal for a pitcher. I know there's a big fuss about it. The advantage, it seems like everything is for the hitters. I mean, hitters use pine tar, hitters use the manual motor stick, all these different things to get grips to help them. So if a pitcher, if it's going to help them for his spin rate, for his, getting the right spin on the 14 fastball, what have you, to me, I might be a little biased because I'm a football pitcher, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. But again, I don't have enough knowledge to really know what it is to say.
Were you ever measured in terms of RPMs?
No, they never had that back then. Like you hear about spin rate and all these different things. Back then, it just mattered of making pitches, reading bat speed, and pitchers are known for tight hitters. You go into a stretch, the hitters show you have to make the difference, to make the changes. But then, now it's so much like analytics, spin rate, all these different things, RPM, what you say, velocity is a big thing. There's so much into it now, and it takes away from me about just going out, pitching, competing, and making your pitches and doing what works for you, being aggressive and attacking the hitter's weakness.
What do you think about Major League Baseball not changing the rules, but changing their enforcement of the rules in midseason, and how can that affect a pitcher if you're relying on a certain grip and a certain circumstance, and then in the middle of the season you have to adjust to that?
It's a big difference, in my opinion, because these guys, they've been using it for a couple of years, or especially going to spring training, you've been using it, you're accustomed to using it with different pitches. season, all of a sudden it's taken away. It's a big adjustment because you've been doing it. Now you got to make the adjustment again, whether it's your side deal, what have you, make the adjustment. I think personally, I mean, obviously, we're not living in a perfect world, but ideally, you'd like to have this take effect during the off season. So guys have time to make the adjustment or go to something else, whether it's using a rosin bag, sweat, or what have you, during the off season leading to spring training, opposed to doing it in the middle of the season. I think it's very tough and unfair to the pitchers.
So Dwight, let me ask you this. I'm sure you were around some pretty crafty pitchers over the years, or, well, heck, I'll even say this. In 1985, you did a commercial with Catfish Hunter in which he told you that you need to get the condensation off the Diet Pepsi can so you could use it on your pitches and get a better break on your curveball, to which, well, let's just say you were a better pitcher than you were an actor in 1985. You told Catfish that it was illegal. What is the most illegal thing you were ever taught regarding what you could do or get away with on the mound?
Well, I wouldn't say for his taught, but I would say the closest thing to that. I remember pitching some games against Mike Scott. Obviously, Mike Scott was known for using the sandpaper and things like that. We found out later it was a catcher using a shin guard stuffing balls. That's why Mike Scott never got caught using the sandpaper. I remember he was getting the balls, the same balls he was using. They was always stuffed in the same spot that he, when he was using them. I would try to get him to do something. I couldn't get him to do anything. I don't know if I was gripping him right or what have you, but I just couldn't get him to do anything. I think that's the closest I ever came to doing that. And other thing I'll try is like sweat. I'll do sweat. A little tap on the rosin bag to try to get it to a good grip. It never worked. And then they say like home field advantage. Try to get in the umpire's room. The kid that works in the clubhouse, in the umpire's room, they rub the balls up before the game with some type of mud or what have you. I like to get them rubbed up dark. It's just a mental thing where you felt like the darker the balls, the better it is for you. But the hitters hit the ball especially late games. So that would try to use that to my advantage to get the balls that rubbed up a little darker and a little bit better. But some ballparks, they have balls saying they just came out of the box. They're nice and slick and you can't really grip them. So I understand you guys have your grips, but some ballparks, they have them rubbed up real good and some don't. So it can be very difficult at times, but let's say the close out of the game is just making sure that at home they have the balls rolled up a little darker than normally on the road.
I think it actually might be the microphone, Dwight. Now, maybe, I don't know if you can lean in on it or whatever, but we'll figure it out here. Now I'm making you do work.
That's okay.
Are you getting some coaching there?
Yeah, she handles all the technician. I'm terrible with technology.
See, now it sounds great.
A lot better now.
That's great. Okay,
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
Thank you, Angel.
Mel Stottlemyre over there.
There you go. Well, we call you Mel Stottlemyre. That's a compliment.
Do I get a baseball card?
So Dwight, now I had a question. Now I can't think of what it was. That's all right. She helped us out with the audio. Why was Mike Scott able to get away with that for so long when everybody knew what he was doing?
I think just my personal opinion and just hearing the rumors around it, we come to find out that Alan Ashby was putting on his shin guard. So every time they check Mike Scott's glove, they check his uniform, his belt, and stuff like that, they never found anything on him because he didn't have anything on him. The catcher was doing it for him on the shin guard when throwing the ball back to him, so then we could never catch him. And it was amazing that, like I told you, when I pitch against Mike Scott, there's a lot of times where the ball would be out on the mound that he used. I'll pick the ball up and it'll be a scuff in the same spot every time. So you knew something was going on. And he was a master at it. I really wanted to have him come up with it. I mean, that guy in 1986 had an unbelievable year when he won the Cy Young and he had it with Brett in the track house and totally dominated that year in the playoffs. I mean, he beat me the first game 1-0, and then I forgot what his numbers was the second start, but that game 6 was basically our game 7 because we didn't want to face Mike Scott the next night in game 7. So we had to win game 6.
You versus Nolan Ryan, right? Do I have that right?
Yes, I think that was game 5.
Okay.
I faced Nolan at Shea Stadium. That was probably one of the highlights of my career because Nolan and Pete Rose was my 2 guys growing up as a kid, and going against your idol and going, head to head for 10 innings. That was one of the highlights of my career from a personal standpoint by far.
Getting back to the spider tack issue, I guess I'll give the listeners some stats in case they haven't been following along, but I know that there are a lot of Yankees fans among those who listen to the podcast. But since that June 3rd crackdown, or I guess I should say before that, Garrett Cole, 1.78 ERA through 11 starts, 5.24 ERA in the six starts since the June 3rd crackdown. Aroldis Chapman, 0.41 ERA through 22 appearances, 18.90 ERA in the 10 games since. And this is outrageous. This is amazing to me. Absurd. In his last 5 2/3 innings, he has allowed 24 base runners.
Wow.
I mean, what do you, I guess, Garrett Cole, it's not so crazy. Starting pitchers do go through some phases like that. But Aroldis Chapman through 11 games, what do you think he's going through right now, mentally or physically, when he is, every time he's out there, he's just throwing gasoline on the fire?
Start with Chapman. I think, in just my opinion, I watched him over the weekend against the Mets, and you hate to see guys go through that. I played with some closers that went through a similar situation, but not as to that extent and not as bad as what he's going through now. I think a lot of times, most of it is probably mental. It could be a connection with the spider tack as well, of making adjustments. But watching him, I've seen like a Pete Alonso, he had him 0-2. And he hangs a breaking ball. It kind of goes back to a couple years ago with Altuve in the playoffs, where they say, Astros had the Suns, what have you. Same thing, he gets ahead, and he throws 100 miles an hour. And so if he throws his breaking ball and he don't locate it well or get it where he needed, it's up. Doing the hitter a favor, especially if they're behind on the fastball and they catch it up. That's what I saw with Pete Alonso back over the weekend. Got ahead 0-2, threw 2 fastballs right by him, hung the breaking ball. I mean, maybe because he couldn't get the grip he wanted on it or what have you, he was trying to waste it and hung it out over the plate. He hit the home run. And normally as a pitcher, I know I used to go through the same thing. You make a mistake or you go through something and you start thinking, uh-oh, here we go again. So now all the negative thoughts come through your head. You start thinking negative. And guess what? Negative things do happen. And as a closer, once you get that, then you got Conforto, same thing, 0-2, and you hit him with a breaking ball, hit him on the foot or whatever, and then they open the floodgates. I think, in my opinion, right there, and you can't rewind it, when the pitcher's going through that at that point, Boone probably should have took him out of the game right there, because he had, from a mental standpoint, you can see he's totally lost. Even when Alonso hit the home run, he put his hands on his head. I tell you, your pitcher's out there with no confidence at that time, in my opinion. You got to remove him. And I just think it's a situation where if it is the spot attack, I don't want to say it is because I have no proof. But if it is some kind of way, he's got to figure out and get his confidence back without using that stuff. Obviously, success breeds confidence. Some kind of way he's got to figure it out. Then a closer, he's got to figure it out quick. And unfortunately, playing in New York, you don't have that much time to go through Spanish one through to figure it out. So hopefully it happens quicker than other. I know him a little bit. He's a great guy, fierce, competitive. So I'd like to see him get back on track, but he's got to figure it out quick. And for Garrett Cole, just my opinion, he's too good of a pitcher to say he actually needs the spider tack. Maybe he's accustomed to using it. I don't know, or using some type of substance. I know I watched his press conference. It sounds like he's probably using something, to help him with his grip, whether it's legal or not illegal. But same thing. I think it just gets to a confident level where something you get accustomed to and you start doubting yourself that you can have success by using it. So he's got to find that same thing. But with Cole, I think he can bounce back a lot quicker without using it because he's a pitcher that has good command of his pitches for his location, especially his velocity is up high. It's just a matter of hitting his spots, getting ahead of guys, and figuring out. His curveball is still not bad, maybe not as consistent as it once was, early in the year, but he can get back to that. I think I look for him to find himself real quick.
How do you feel about the way baseball has been evolving over the years? More strikeouts, more home runs, less emphasis on contact hitting, plays in the field, running the bases, things like that. Don Mattingly said it was, unwatchable at times. How do you watch baseball and find it as entertaining as it was in the era that you played?
That's a great question. It is not. I took my nephew, Gary Sheffield. We talk a lot. We grew up baseball fans. I mean, just loving baseball because my dad loved baseball. We grew up in the same house, and he doesn't watch it anymore. I still watch it. I'm still a fan. I'm a huge fan of baseball. I go to minute games, Citi Field, Yankee Stadium. Even if I'm on the road, I can catch the game. I'm there. If not, if I'm at home, I'm watching games all the time. But it's not as entertaining as it was because, like you just mentioned, there's no more, stealing bases. Guys are not making contact as much. They're not moving around with over as much. No psych bunts, no hit and runs. Guys are not hitting for average anymore. Stolen bases are down. Just the strategy of baseball is taken out. To me, that was the difference between National League and American League was the strategy of the game, the double switch, the different things you do. Now it's base to base, swinging for the home runs or you're striking out. A guy can hit 210, but if he has 3 home runs, driving 90 runs, he had a great year. Strikeouts are way up. And to me, that's not baseball. I mean, that's not the baseball I grew up with. Might be a little old school, but I like the strategy of the game. Moving guys over. That's why I think, in my opinion, you see a lot of the shifts now, with the analytics, everybody shifting over to this, because guys are not using the whole field. Where you had like a 20 win, today he will probably hit 400 because he hits the ball all over the place, same away blocks. It's a totally different game now. I think it's taken away from the joy of the game. It's a beautiful game, but they're taking it away. And it's probably the reason why we're losing the youth to other sports, to soccer, lacrosse, basketball. I think this plays a part of it, in my opinion anyway. Talking to kids, they just say baseball is not as fun. Same with my youngest kid, he played baseball growing up, and now he's football, basketball. He thinks it's more excitement in that than baseball now. I think that's a big part of it. That's the way the game is switched, and hopefully somehow it gets back to just the basic stuff of baseball. Moving guys over, hit and run, stealing bases. That, to me, that's the advantage of the game. Especially it really shows a playoff time, the postseason, because you're facing the top 3 starters on that staff, and it's going to be low-scoring games. If you're waiting for a big home run or a 3-run homer, chances are it's not going to happen. But the team that makes the most contact and move guys over and play defense has an advantage, especially in the postseason. For me, anyway.
Dwight, there is at least one player that I know you love watching. We're recording this on Tuesday morning. He is scheduled to start for the Mets tonight, and that is Jacob deGrom. He's going up against the Brewers at Citi Field. I guess I just want to ask you in this regard. Well, I'll stop there. I understand you have a ritual on days that Jacob deGrom pitches. Can you explain that? And this, I think, sheds light on how much you love watching Jacob deGrom pitch.
Yeah, definitely. He's obviously, to me, must-see TV. This guy's amazing, and I know him personally, and that brings more excitement to it. The days he pitch, obviously, I have my calendar marked for every 5th day or every 5th game where I know he's pitching, and my day revolves around that. I'm not the greatest cook, but most of the time I got either my George Foreman grill going or my grill outside going, with a certain meal, my burgers and chicken. And if he pitches a great game, then I'm gonna have steak. Depends on how he pitches. It's almost like he decides if I deserve the steak or not, depending on how he performs. This year, obviously, he's got me overweight because he's been performing very well. But my whole day revolves around what he's doing and when he's pitching. And I love it. I love watching him play. It brings a lot of excitement, and we just look forward to watching him pitch. And like I say, tonight, my day's already planning around what he's going to do. I got all my, running my errands early. So about 6 o'clock, I'm there. I'm watching the post-game stuff. That's the highlights of his previous starts. And then I'm 7:10 or what have you. I'll be right there in front of the screen watching him pitch.
Well, how about that? I think that's a badge of honor that I can say that an appearance on Tim Graham. Oh, I'm sorry, not an appearance, but filling in for Matthew Fairburn as co-host of Tim Graham and Friends, brought to you by CTBK, was part of Dwight Gooden's Jacob deGrom errands that you had to get out of the way, and you were able to fit us in today. That's even better. A lot of steak being eaten in the Gooden household. So I mentioned this when I interviewed you a year or so ago. The Athletic had a series on where they asked its writers to tell a story about their childhood hero or the guy that they were really into. And I had the opportunity to connect with you at that time, and we did a story on your relationship with fans over the years, what you owe them, what they owe you. That it was a good talk. I thought a lot of people enjoyed it. But I asked this question, and you seem to be taken aback by it. But Baseball Reference analytics say that your 1985 Triple Crown season is the greatest season for any pitcher after Walter Johnson in 1913, still stands. That's still factual, even since I asked you that question a while ago. But I mentioned that again to set this up. Jacob deGrom's got a chance. He's 10-4, 0.95 ERA, and in 85 innings, he has 136 strikeouts and only 11 walks. What is he doing? He clearly doesn't need the spider tack because his numbers have been strong. At one point, he had more RBIs than runs allowed. I guess, how would you sum this up for somebody who doesn't watch baseball or doesn't get to see the Mets a lot? What is it about Jacob deGrom that makes him so good?
I think the way his consistency, obviously, this guy, like somebody who don't watch baseball or not a baseball fan, but they love going to the movies, I would say it's almost like whatever movie comes out and it's the highest or the biggest box office hit or biggest draw. That's what Jacob deGrom is every fifth day. He's the biggest draw. He's the biggest box hit, and his consistency compares to none. As you mentioned, Walter Johnson, 1913, myself, 1985. What he's doing right now, in my opinion, he's getting ready to shout out both of that, my 85 and the 1913. And I'm just honored to be watching this up close and personal every fifth day. See this, because this stuff only happens this doesn't happen every 10 years, every 20 years. This happens maybe every 30, every 40 years, what he's doing. Something very special. I don't know if he quite understands what he's doing right now because he's in the middle of doing it. He's probably just going out and just trying to win and compete and help the team, be successful. Once his career is over, I'm sure he'll look back and say, wow, he put that tape in and watched himself. He'll be amazed by it when he get to watch it with his kids and grandkids, what have you, and understand that. But for me and fans of the Mets and Jacob deGrom, I think watching this, it's truly amazing. It's must-see TV. It's something that when he pitches, you plan your day as I do. Make sure you're ready to watch it because history has been made pretty much every time he takes them out in one form or another.
How about Shohei Ohtani, another kind of once-in-a-lifetime performance he's having as a pitcher and a hitter leading the majors in home runs? How impressed are you with his ability to dominate in multiple facets of the game?
Oh, man, it's amazing. And I'll be the first to admit, he definitely proved me wrong because I've never seen anything like that. You hear about Babe Ruth or you hear about certain guys that come close to doing that. But for him to actually be doing it and having a lot of success doing it both ways is truly amazing. And when he first came over, I said, man, this guy, I would probably make him a pitcher. I don't think he can hit and do both. And then you start thinking maybe he'll be a hitter. I don't know if he can pitch to that level. But now you're like, wow, he's having success doing both of it. And that's something else. But him and deGrom's doing it in the same year. I mean, it's almost like they're taking away from each other a little bit because there was only one guy doing it at this time. You'd be like, wow, this guy's unbelievable. And probably be on ESPN or NBA. MLB or ESPN every night watching one another. But these guys are doing it now. I've never seen anything like this. And I was hoping that they get to face each other in the All-Star game. But at the same time, watching Ohtani now, I'm up late watching the games because, the West Coast. But I enjoy what he's doing and very successful. And I think he's got to put it all together like he's doing now, but even has a chance to even get better on the mound and get more consistent once they figure out probably the in-between starts. It's just truly, truly amazing to watch. And I wouldn't believe this if I didn't see it. That's for sure. I mean, he's leading the league in RBIs and home runs, and then he's got maybe a 2-some ERA or a low 3. Totally dominating on both sides, 100 miles an hour and hitting home runs. They don't get any better than that.
How hard do you think that is to be ready for his pitching starts when he's playing in the lineup every day?
I think that's tough. I think that's a challenge right there for me. And I think we're seeing it a little bit now. I was actually at this game last Wednesday at Yankee Stadium watching him pitch when he with the runs. And it's not like his stuff is bad. It's just the location. And I think that comes with preparation between starts on working on, your mechanics and getting all that stuff down. It's probably the only talent that he really has. His only weakness is maintaining the consistency of his mechanics. Because as a pitcher, it's all about being consistent and repeating your stuff over and over to be successful on the mound. And I think being in the lineup every day, taking BP every day, working on this stuff, and then trying to pitch and get your side work in and different things is probably the only challenge that he has. But if anybody can figure it out, this guy's done it. I think he can do it. It's a matter of time of coming together because I think in Japan he had that extra day to do it, but now it's a bit shorter. And plus, you're playing against the best hitters in the world. So I like to see him figure it out and get a little bit better. And I think it's a lot of room for improvement for it on the pitch mound. And I think it can happen.
Dwight, you were known throughout the 80s as a dangerous hitting pitcher. In fact, you won a Silver Slugger Award. And I just went and looked, and I'll be honest, I thought you had more than 8 home runs. But over your career, by the way, not in a season. I think that goes to show that the really good, now maybe I'd look up Verlander or something like that. Obviously the stats will be a little different, but you were, and Fernando Valenzuela, of course, he was another one too. But to take a look at what Ohtani's doing, I think that that's just one more way to emphasize that even the really good hitting pitchers, I mean, this is totally unheard of. I mean, since Babe Ruth, really.
Yeah, you're right. To put it in perspective, you're right. Because you look at that, and I thought as a pitcher, I thought I was a pretty good hitter. And 8 home runs, I thought that was pretty good as a pitcher. But then you look at his numbers, you're like, wait a second. There's no comparison. You can't compare yourself to that. I mean, he's doing, I don't know how you put that in perspective because his numbers off the chart. I mean, to do what he's doing on both sides, it's almost like being the best hitter on your team and the best pitcher on your team. That's literally in high school stuff. You don't see that at this level. I mean, it's just amazing, especially where the game is going. And this guy's doing it. He's doing it consistently. And he's making it like look easy. That's the thing about it. I don't see him falling either way. And it's fun to watch. And it's amazing what he's doing. And he's steadily learning. That's the thing about it. This is his, I don't know, what, his third or fourth year. So this guy's probably going to get better if that's, if that's possible. Same thing like deGrom. I remember when he got his first Cy Young Award, and not to blow smoke up my own horn, I presented him with his first Cy Young Award at the Writers' Dinner. And I thought at that time, because he hadn't been pitching for so long, I said, this guy's even getting better. I didn't know he was getting this much better. So he definitely passed my expectations. But I see that same thing with Ohtani. I think he's even going to get better as he goes.
Speaking of guys who can do two things, or maybe do one thing that people didn't know about. I want to, before we let you go, I want to let you brag about your son, Dylan Gooden. Yep. He was a backup wide receiver at Good Counsel High in Olney, Maryland. He's going to be a junior, so he was just finishing up his sophomore year. He was a backup wide receiver. And then with 2 games left in the spring season, much like they had in New York, they had to play spring football this year. He switches over to edge rusher. He gets 4 sacks in the 2 remaining games. And now all of a sudden you're setting up unofficial visits with schools like, Notre Dame, Penn State, Michigan State, everybody. And these are offers, by the way, already. He's about to be a junior. After 2 games, he looked that good as an edge rusher. He's 6'6", 200. So he's going to fill out some, especially he gets in a college football weight program. They'll have him a lot bigger. Mm-hmm. How do you sum this up? Even as somebody who went through the whirlwind of scouting like you did, you have experience through this as a high school phenom, but to go from backup receiver to how many offers is he up to now?
Oh, at least 14 or 15. He has one of like the first when I go to Tennessee. They just keep coming in. Like you said, sophomore, I'm very proud of him, number one. And the thing that's amazing was when he went to school, when he played youth football, he played defensive end, edge rusher, wide receiver, tight end, played different things. So we got to high school for some reason, so we played a receiver. I said, well, try to play them both. Because I just want to be a receiver. So I didn't want to tell my kid that, no, you can't do it, or I think this is better. I said, okay, go ahead. So all through practice, I talked to his coach, Coach Stefanelli at Good Counsel. He said, the defensive coordinator really wants to go on the defense. He almost be a receiver, but we also have kids we play first. So I talked with Dylan a lot. I said, hey, play them both. They really want the defense. I think that's probably a better position. I'm not saying you can't play wide receiver. Keep following your dream, but be ready for defensive end. I said, then when opportunity comes, you got to be prepared and you got to be ready. Go. So keep preparing yourself. You never know when opportunity will come. And I kind of use philosophy what I had when 96 for the Yankees. I started off 0-3. I got put in the bullpen, and I just kept getting ready. I had pitching coach Mel Stoudemire that working with me. And so when opportunity came, unfortunately, David Cohen got the aneurysm. That got me back into the rotation. 5 starts later, I pitched a no-hitter. So I told him that story there to get him ready. And the day he told me, he goes, Dad, I'm going to go play defense now. I was very happy, but I didn't see this coming, what he's doing now. I said, good, because I know defensive end and edge rush is probably his better position. Obviously, you said earlier, we got to get some weight on him. And then watching them play and seeing them dominate those 2 games against top schools. And there's one guy who was a tackle, offensive tackle for St. Francis in Baltimore. This guy's a 5-star player who's got a 4 ride to Penn State, and Dylan totally dominated him. I couldn't believe it. And I was very proud of him, but I said, but now, going into your junior year, you're not going to sneak up on anybody. You got to be prepared. How are they going to have you on film? So the difference is when you don't have practice, you don't have games, what are you doing to make yourself better? That's going to determine where you go with that. And I said, just keep fighting. And I said, very proud of him. He's in good position now. This is what he wanted. I always thought he was a perfect size for a pitcher. 6'6", 200, that's a pitcher. But football and basketball is a game, especially football. So proud of him and looking forward to him watching him this coming season and seeing how far he goes.
Now, did you play any football, or how did it get to be that your son developed into a football player?
I played a little bit when I was younger, nothing like what he's doing. I got my arm broken when I was 11 years old, and my mom said, son, that's it, no more football. Because back then,
your pitching arm?
Yeah. Excuse me?
Was it your pitching arm?
No, left arm, thank God. I think Dylan he probably got it from Sheffield, his cousin. Gary was a great football player all the way through, little common team, high school, he was a running back and a linebacker. He was just, I wouldn't say just as good as baseball, but he had a chance to go to college and play football. So maybe he got it from Gary, I don't know. He definitely got football from me.
Dwight, you mentioned being called out of the bullpen there, and then you had a rough go. After David Cohn was diagnosed with his aneurysm, you had a rough go there, and that is one of the things that made your no-hitter so special. That was 25 years ago. Yeah. But before I ask you about that no-hitter, I guess I just should, for the record, state what's your best break coming out of the to get out of the bullpen or to be called out of the bullpen? Is it David Cohn's aneurysm or Matthew Fairburn having son to allow you onto the show?
Oh man, I like that. You're right. I think that I seen 95 and both of them was good breaks. You guys have on the show. You guys do a great job. First of all, and I love that. You have to call I was thinking like, that was pretty good. Unfortunately, yeah, David Cohn getting an aneurysm. You hate to see that. And I was in a situation where I started 0-3. I was basically benched. When a pitcher gets benched, I mean, you're not getting in the game if you're up 10 or you're down 10. You're not getting in the game. They're trying to decide whether we send him down in AAA or do we release him or what happened. And unfortunately, I just kept working. I had Mel Sotomayor, who was my pitching coach in my prime with the Mets. Now he's my pitching coach again, so and a good friend. We just kept working on stuff to get ready just in case I get the opportunity to come out of the bullpen or what have you. And unfortunately, David Cohn got the aneurysm. And that was my last shot right there to go back in. And I ran off like 8 great starts right there. I ran out, I got tired, physically tired at the end from missing the year before. But if he don't have the aneurysm, who knows how my career felt with the Yankees at that time. A lot of times, only things that one break, even in life, get that one opportunity to get prepared and mentally ready to take advantage of the situation.
Any special thoughts, or did 25 years bring you any kind of certain memories or make things any different in terms of the nostalgia when you realize that this was 25 years from, I don't want to say, is it your signature moment? Because your dad was ill and he needed to have surgery the next day and everything that was going on in your life.
Well, at that time, definitely from a personal standpoint as a player, that was the highlight of my career. And that was the stamp on my career because everything took place, being out of the game for a year, starting off 0-3. My dad had been on dialysis for, 15 years, going to have open heart surgery. All his organs and health was, fading away real fast. And being able to pitch a no-hitter under those circumstances when I was supposed to have flew home that day to be with him before the surgery to give him some more support. But the pitch no-hitter right there, and then turned out to be the last game he saw me pitch in. I passed away. He never made it home from the hospital. Definitely put a stamp on that. And that led to, when we talked about earlier, to doing something now just to give back, because so many people helped me through my career and even my post-career, through my ups and downs and different things. Even when I gave up on myself, a lot of family didn't give up on me, and that kept me going. So I feel like a lot of people lost their life doing a lot less than I've done, and I'm still here for a purpose. So now we started the Gooden Family Foundation just to give back and help those in need, those who need second chances, whether it's education or whatever it may be. just to be there and be a part of that, to show our support and to keep it in the family. So when I'm gone, it goes on for generations and generations of just giving back. And my parents told me also when I was very young that what's the purpose of having a life if you can't touch someone else, touch another life? And we just try to carry that message and just try to do whatever I can, day to day.
And that's the Dwight Gooden Family Foundation, which is the concept founding from your daughter, Ariel.
Yes.
But it hasn't launched yet. So this is a little preview for anybody listening. I guess, can you give an example as to what type of causes the Dwight Gooden Family Foundation would like to lend its name and resources to?
I think the main thing, one of my focus would be, because I'm part of that, the disease of drugs and alcohol, especially with the youth. I think somehow giving them a chance to live their life on a healthy note and help them and let them know that someone's there that cares, someone there can relate, that we're not just doing something or giving money, something that I can relate. I mean, I know what pain feels like, I know what pain looks like, and just giving back to that. That's one of my main focus is doing that. Then others is, like homeless, or kids that may be suffering through different things, whether it's incarceration or maybe their parents, drugs or incarcerated. Just giving them a chance and let them know that somebody's there to care. Because I know a lot of times with kids, if you're talking to kids at schools and different things, a lot of times kids used to everybody tell them, you should do this, you should hang here, you shouldn't go there, you should this. A lot of times a kid just need an ear, just hear them out and see what they're feeling and know what they're doing, and just let them know that there's someone that cares, someone that can relate to what you're going through and want to be a part to help you get in a situation you can succeed. And then later on, you can share your story with somebody who may be suffering, going through the same thing that you went through as a kid.
Dwight, you've never dodged these questions. And that's one of the reasons I admire you now more when you're not wearing a uniform than I did back in the day when you became my guy. A lot of people's guy, right? I mean, you were the deGrom before there was a deGrom. Everybody circling the calendar on the 5th day. In fact, Nolan Ryan used to make it a point to watch Dwight Gooden pitch. That's how good Dwight Gooden was back in the mid to late 80s. But there was this happened after I interviewed you that first time. Back in November 2020, you went before a judge and you had been gone through probation. And I don't have everything in front of me, but you mentioned that your most recent arrest, which I think was in 2019,
yes,
how it changed your life.
Yeah.
So what is it about that one that changed your life that the other previous ones maybe were just speed bumps, that they didn't really, but for some reason, something took. I'll say for those who are listening and not watching, you look great. What is it about the most recent one that stuck?
I think and the main thing that stuck was I have to admit, because and again, not to justify anything or dismiss anything, but normally mostly in black homes, you grow up as men don't cry, men don't hug, men you don't share your true feelings. Anything going on, it's okay, you get over it, tighten up, put on your man boots or whatever. This particular time, obviously I got DUI, I got arrested, and I thought that I gotta get real with myself. I had a lot going on in my head, a lot of stuff that happened as a child, a lot of stuff that happened from whether it was depressed, different things. So I said, you know what? I told the judge, I said, I'd like to go to get mental health this time. I've been to rehabs, I don't know, 10 times. They're good, but I understand. I just want to do something different. I understand that part, but there's got to be something more going on. When I'm doing things for his, getting high with his drugs or drinking and driving, that's not things I want to do. I wasn't brought up that way, and I know I don't want to do it, but why am I doing these things? It's easy to say, don't do it, but it's got to be something more going on inside of me doing these things that I'm missing. I got to be missing something else. And again, I'm not justifying anything, whatever. So I went to High Focus, which is a mental hospital. I went there. I had to put down all the ego, everything, and just deal with myself, with my inner self. And by going there, I found out so much stuff about myself, even at the age of 56 at the time. I'm still learning about myself and so many things and why things happen. I found out there was a lot of things that obviously people had forgiven me for, God had forgiven me for, but a lot of things I hadn't forgiven myself for. I was holding those things inside, and I haven't dealt with a lot of stuff inside. I had to just empty the tank and just get clean and just get rid of everything and not worry about how the council going to take me or somebody going to look at me differently or how I'm going to be judged. And just find out and do it for myself. And I think by doing that and going there for a year, I learned so much about myself and it helped me put things in place where if I can change those thoughts in my head or different things, maybe it won't lead to drugs or drinking. Maybe it wouldn't lead to going to certain places or hanging around certain people I shouldn't. I had to cut loose a lot of family members, which hurts. I can talk to them, but I know I can't be around them because of putting myself in bad situations and just get honest with myself. And I think by doing that, it gives me a chance to really get honest with myself and try to be correct. But at the same time, I still can't let my guard down. July 23rd, if I get that point, it'll be 2 years, be clean and sober. And my life has been great. Great relationship with my kids again. Just building their trust back and being accountable to them. And the most important thing is loving myself again. I always know how to make the next guy feel good or feel great. Just doing that with myself consistently. And then the other thing was, I think with COVID, you hate to happen. When that COVID stuff happened, I think it gave me an opportunity. You couldn't go anywhere. There was no baseball. You couldn't go to games, which was always my outlet. I was forced to live with myself and deal with myself on a daily basis. And I think that probably was one of the best things that happened because I had no distractions of going anywhere or watching anything. So all the time and for that, even though it was a bad time, but it turned out to be a good thing for myself. And taking advantage of that and putting me in the position I'm in now. And I just want to maintain that now because that's for the mental point that I've been in a long, long time. And I love myself today.
Dwight Gooden will turn 57 years old later this fall. Sorry to say it that way. But what I mean, the teen phenom, the guy, as he was called on the cover of Sports Illustrated, has a lot of years left to live. Dwight, to 57 is a young man. And it puts a smile on my face to see a smile on your face. And you're known, and you've been known as that guy back when you were playing. You were a pleaser.
Yes.
The media loved Dwight Gooden because he always agreed to an interview because whatever, an autograph or a handshake or fans. I mean, you never said no. And but you still got a lot of that in you. Just because you can, like you say, love yourself, you haven't gotten selfish, as evidenced by the fact that you're stopping by this Hole in the Wall podcast.
No, you guys are good.
Hey, I wanted to ask you though, Dwight. This is my trophy behind me here. My fantasy football trophy from I don't know, 10 years ago. It is probably weighs 40 pounds. It's made out of stainless steel. Have you in your life or your career ever won any trophy that looks this beautiful?
I've come close. My World Series trophy is close, but not quite like that.
All right. I knew it.
That's great.
Oh, before we let you go, and Jonah brought this up earlier. You pitched in Buffalo for a little bit. This show comes out of Buffalo. We have a lot of people from Buffalo who listen. Okay. You were, I think, with the Indians at the time.
Yes.
Any recollections of Buffalo that stick with you? And I guess it should be known, you sneak in and out for autograph signings out of Buffalo quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, the easy thing is the wings. The wings on Buffalo wings. I mean, the wings there was awesome, and the people there was great. I mean, the fans there was great. I remember giving up a home run to Vernon Wells. He was in AAA there. I gave up a home run to him, and then later he had a great career. Those things that stick out the most. But even when I go there for autograph signings, always got to get the wings. I forget the name of the place, and I feel bad for that. But they also have a chain of the places, and there's one in the airport. But I can't remember the name of it.
Well, that's Anchor Bar. That's Anchor Bar, which is going to make the locals. That's kind of like saying McDonald's has the best hamburger, though, Dwight. I'll tell you what.
Better than that.
It is right. It is. But it's kind of cliche. I'll tell you what, Dwight.
Okay.
The next time you come into town for a signing, I know that you do shows in Batavia, but you fly into Buffalo and whatever.
Yes.
We'll do it on the down low. We'll do it so that way, there's not a lot of people bugging you or whatever. And I'll take you to a couple places that'll change your tune.
Is that right? Okay. I look forward to that. I got some number and stuff, so I'll keep that, and we'll definitely do that for sure.
The least I can do for your generosity here and helping us out on the podcast. So I'm going to plug it one more time. And here's the other thing about Dwight. People are going to be like, oh, Dwight's making the rounds because he wants to talk about the Dwight Gooden Family Foundation. He agreed to do this. And right before we come on, he mentioned it.
Yeah.
I mean, so this is, I said, hey, I want to talk about Dylan and his recruiting and how explosive. And then he mentions Ariel and what she's doing. That was, I mean, Dwight's just being a nice guy.
Yeah, that's right. Just giving back. That's all. The guy's always been there for me, so just my way of giving back. That's all.
Very nice of you, Dwight. And can't thank you. Oh, Jonah, go ahead.
I was just to say, you might want to bring Dylan up on an official visit to Buffalo just for the chicken wings, even if he doesn't
There
sign.
you go. Definitely. Hey, son, like I said, I get some weight on him, so whatever it takes.
We can do that.
It sounds like Dylan might aspire at this point to more than the Mid-American Conference. That's just a guess.
Yeah.
Do you have? Okay. All right. Last question for you. Is there an offer that came that you're like, oh my gosh, because these are some pretty. You got Penn State, you got Notre Dame. Do you have? Even though he's just about to be he hasn't even started his junior year yet. Right. Is there, as a dad, is there one that you're looking at and thinking, man, that'd be something special?
Not quite. I'll give you a hint. I'm waiting for it, hopefully. And I appreciate all the schools, what they're doing and the interest in doing. I'll give you a hint. I signed a letter of intent to go to the University of Miami. So I'm a big Hurricane fan. We haven't seen anything yet from them. Just to give you a hint. Well, it's going to be his choice, whatever he decides. But
maybe I'll send out the bat signal on this. From my days covering the AFC East for ESPN, I do have a lot of Dolphins fans on my Twitter feed. I'll mention it. We'll get some push in Miami.
Yeah. So
let's see if this podcast has any influence at all. I doubt it, but let's see. That'd be something though. I'm sure it would be purely coincidental if within the next couple of weeks, Miami says,
well,
we have to.
And you guys deserve all the credit. That happened. I definitely have to give you guys the credit for sure. 100%.
Dwight Gooden, thanks for doing this. I kept you for way longer than I thought we would, but you're gracious with your time. And I hope we get to see each other again soon.
Sounds good. I'm holding to his wings too. So you don't get that easy.
It's a promise.
Thank you guys for having me.
It's a promise.
So you got a great show, and thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dwight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The financial needs of a business go beyond tax and attest services. That's why CTBK goes beyond accounting services and offers outsourced solutions through their affiliation with CFO Solutions Plus. These additional services allow clients to focus on their operational and long-term strategic goals. Trust CTBK's outsourced solutions to provide cost-effective, value-added financial services tailored to your company's needs. Call CTBK at 716-630-2400. Again, 716-630-2400. Or go to ctbk.com to learn more about CTBK's outsourced solutions.